Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video, and in today's video I'm gonna cover how to build a responsive website and how to use CSS media queries. Alright, so for that I have in here this website that I just built in a couple of minutes, and I'm just gonna try to explain this as simple as I can, So first thing first, I think that you guys should understand how can you make elements responsive without touching media queries. Right, so you know that I'm gonna just now, let me just increase the size of this text in here so you guys can understand better. I'm gonna create a div in here, just a regular div, and I'm gonna give it a class of test. Right, so I created a div on top of everything, and if I go in here to my page, let me refresh, nothing happened. That's because my div is completely empty. All right, so inside of this div now, let's say that I just put some text or something like hello world. Let's save this, refresh, and there it is, our new div with the hello world text inside. If you open the developer tools, you can just press F12 on your keyboard or right click and inspect. I'm using the Google Chrome browser. It should be similar if you are using Safari or Firefox or something. All right, so let's inspect with this arrow this div in here. Look, when I highlight this div, I think I can even, yeah, I can even do some zoom in here. Look how this div in here is highlighted. Whenever you create a div, the div by default, it takes a CSS property like display block. Display block, it means that it will take 100% of the parent element. And in this case, the parent element is container. And from parent container, the parent of this div with the class container is body. Okay, so basically in here, look at this div that we just created is taking the full width of the page, like 100%. By default, you don't have to do anything. If you are going here to CSS, and we are going to target this div, let's say test. It was with the class test, yeah, and we're going to give it a width of let's say 500 pixels. So we put this div now with 500 pixels, and look now how it's just taking this little bit of space in here. It's going to look even better if I put a background color on it. Okay, so let's put background color. I'm going to put it background color blue. Okay, let me refresh the page. Nothing happened. What did I do wrong? I don't need to put this. Let's refresh. Let me just put the color inside to be white so we can see it properly. Okay, look, this is the div that we just created, and we give it a text, and now we said, okay, this div will have a width of 500 pixels. So as you can see, is an exact amount. So this div will always have this size. If I resize the page, look, it's always staying the same. This is because we said, okay, this div will always have 500 pixels. If I remove this width, like I said, by default, a div will have 100% of the width of the parent element. If I refresh, look how it's completely expanding from all the page. Look, now, if I just resize the page, look how it's resizing. That's cool, yeah? Now, let's say that I want this div that we just created to have only 80% of the parent. So if I put in here with 80%, oops, 80%. Let's refresh. Now this div will always have 80% of the page, no matter what's the screen size that you are seeing this page. You can watch it on an iPad, on a phone, or whatever. This div will always have 80% of the total screen size that you are watching at the moment. Look at me now, just like resizing this. I'm resizing the page, but also look how the div is getting smaller as well. This is why whenever you are putting a width, you are setting up a width on your divs, you always should use percentages if you want your website to be responsive. As you see, look, now I'm going to put this 50%. So 50%. And now, look, the div is only 50%. I resize the page, and it's always like this. So this is a good thing for you guys to know about, like how the responsive elements and their sizes, they work, you know, relative to the page. So always you always have to, I don't know if you guys could understand this clearly, but let me do this one more time. So the parent of this div that we just created, we created this div with a class test, and the parent is this div with a class container. Let's say that this div with a class container, so you guys can understand completely. So this div with a class container, I'm going to give it a background color of yellow. Okay, let's refresh. Look, the div with the class container is all yellow, yeah, and this div with the class container, the parent of it is body. So the body is going to be like your full width of the page, and you created a div inside. This is the container, and by default, like I said, the div is a display block, will take the full width of the page. So basically, the div with the class container will have 100% of your page because it's a direct child, you know. And then you have this div inside with a class test. And I'm saying in here on my CSS, okay, this div with a class test will have 50% width of the parent, which is container. Look, is inside of the container. And there you go. Here is our div with a class test with a background color blue, and you can see it's taking 50% of the page. That's it. So based on these guys, I'm going to put all these devices next to each other, all right? So you guys can see how they take all the page. So I'm going to show just one more time quickly. If I'm going to put in here a width of 450 pixels is going to be an exact amount. If I refresh the page, look, this div has 450 pixels, but if I refresh if I resize the page, look, it's staying all the time the same. We don't want this. We want it to be responsive. That's why we should use the percentages. All right, so let me just get rid of this, and now I'm just going to put all these devices next to each other. Okay, let me refresh the page. I'm going to get rid of this div with a class test. Okay, and now I have all of these elements in here. So I have a div with a class text, and inside I have an image. So I have like this 3 times. Okay, and let me refresh. So there you go. So this is one div, and as you know, a div by default has a display property of block. So it means that it takes the full width of the page and it doesn't let anything sit next to it. So what I want right now is, okay, I want this to be display inline block. So inline block will let other elements sit next to it. You see, look, when I highlight this div, look how it's highlighted everything on the page. Now, I'm going here to my CSS, and I'm going to say that my div with a class tag, I want it to have a display of inline block. All right, let's refresh the page and look. Now it's only, if you see the highlighted part, is only taking the necessary amount to take that image, right? So now I'm going to say, okay, all these divs with the class tech, I want them to have 30% of the page, of the total width of the page, right? So because I have 3 divs, you see, look, there are three divs. So it's going to be in total like 30% plus 30% plus 30% equals to 90%. So these 3 divs, they can sit next to each other because they are not taking more than 100%, right? So they can all fit together next to each other. So look, I'm going to say I want the width to be 30%. Let's refresh, and there you go. They still, I'm going to show you now. I'm going to select this arrow, and look, I'm selecting the first div, which has 30% of the parent. Then the next one has also 30% of the parent, and then the next one has also 30%. And we miss in here this little bit in here on the side is 10%. So we are going to fix this now with the Flexbox, so we can just like space this well nicely, you know. Okay, for that, I'm going in here to my container, which is the parent of all these divs. I'm going to show you in here again. So you see, this is the first div with my Mac and has an image inside. Then I have another div with the class tech with the iPad, and then I have another div with my iPhone. So the parent of all these divs is this div in here container. So I'm going to give it a display flex. This is not like a tutorial for Flexbox, guys, but I'm just going to explain quickly. I'm going to put it flex, and so I can now just like make them well spaced on the page, like with the same space between each other. I'm going to give it this justify content space around. Okay? Let me refresh the page, and look. Now all these divs, they will have the same space between them. Same space in here, same space in here, same space in here. Right? And also I want them to be vertical aligned. You know, I don't want these Mac to be in here on the top and this one in here. I want them to be like well, nice and vertically aligned. So for that, I'm going to put align items center. So this is like to vertical align it. And there you go. So now they are all well and nice vertically aligned. Look now, if I resize the page, look how this is getting like so responsive for whatever screen size you are putting. I did something before that I need to explain. So before, this is something that you guys sometimes you have some problems. If I'm just gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna refresh. Look, now this is all messed up. That's because, so we still have our divs. I'm gonna show in here. We still have our divs with a class tech, which take 30% of the page. Look how it's highlighted in the page. They still take 30% of the page. But the problem in here is that sometimes when we get some images, the images are bigger than the container itself, you know. So to make sure that the image always stays inside of the container, we need to make this. Look, in here in my HTML, I have a div with a class tech, and inside I have this image. But sometimes we get images that are so big, you know, and they get out of the container because they are so big. So I want to limit them to a max width of 100% of the parent. just like what I was explaining before. I'm going in here and I'm going to target my div with a class stack, and whatever image is inside, I can say that max width, I could even give width equals to 100%, but like this is just like to make them even more responsive. So I can give them max width 100%. So this tells me that the images inside of this container tag will always have a max width of 100%. Let's refresh, and as you can see now the images, they will have a maximum width of 100% inside there. Look how well they are inside. Okay, so we got this figured out, right? Like I said, we gave it a width of 30% for each of these divs. Let's say that I give it now a width of 40%. If I give it 40%, so it's going to be, let me see, so tag, display, inline block. Okay, so what's wrong? There's something 40 and 40. Ah, that's how, that's because I need to put in here flex wrap, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's because you are using Flexbox, so I need to put this way. Okay, so what I'm saying is, look, I gave it 40%, and the next div is going to be 40%. So if you have 3 divs, it's going to be 40%, the next one 40%, and the next one is 40%. Because 3 divs with 40% is going to be equals to 120%, which is more than your 100%. It's only possible to fit 2 divs inside, because it's 40% plus 40%, it equals to 80%. So it means, okay, it fits 80% in here, and the next div is going to the next line. That's why this one is going down here. All right, so let's just like resize this a little bit. Look, it's getting responsive, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do this now. I want this to be 30%. I'm gonna put in here as it was before. All right, now I'm gonna start to use media queries. Okay, so I'm gonna say that we put this already, each one of these divs to have 30%, but I want, for example, for iPad resolution. So if you go in here on the top and click this toggle mobile device, and in here, look, you have iPhones, you have Galaxy, you have iPad and iPad Pro, and you can see in here the resolution that's usually these kind of devices they have. So in here, for example, I'm going to cover in here iPad as a resolution of 768 width and a height of 1024. Okay, so I'm going to start making a media query. So for that, I'm just going to write down this at media, and I'm going to put max width, and I'm going to put 768 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to say in this resolution, so from really small devices until a maximum of 768 pixels, so it's going to start from 0 until that maximum. I want the body to be with a background color. I'm just putting here with a background color of let's say blue. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the page, and look, now the background color is blue for a maximum resolution of 768. Let me just put this in here as responsive, okay? Look, I'm putting this in responsive mode, all right, guys? So I'm going to start this, for example, from a really, really small screen. Look in here, 74 pixels. 74 pixels, I'm increasing. So this is like the sizes for phones. I'm increasing. Look. Is all the time background color blue, because I said it, until a maximum of 768 pixels. 678, sorry. Or 700. Look. Bam. When it reaches, when it crosses more than 768, it goes back to what it was before in here. I had it in here, body, background color, light green. Okay, so let's put another max width in here. Okay, let's put now for 1024 at media max width, and I'm gonna put 1024 pixels. I want my body to be with a background color of red. Okay, let's refresh the page and let's start from the bottom in here. It's red. Look, 500 pixels is still red. And we are almost in 1024. Bam! It passed the 1024 and now goes back to what it was set up previously. But now you guys might be asking, all right, Telmo, but you set up a code before in here for a maximum width of 768 pixels with a background color blue, and now it disappeared. What happened to it? That's because if you guys know or remember this, whenever you are using CSS, the last value, it's always the last value that you have on the page is always the value that takes precedence, you know, like it's like the value that gets updated, you know. So in here, if I say a max width of 1024, it means that is whatever the size it is, until it reaches this 1024, it's going to cover everything. So if I want to, because look, 1024 pixels, if I start from 0 until a maximum of 1024 pixels, all this range of screen width, it also contains the 768, which is around here in the middle. So I start from 0, 768, 1024. This range of 1024, it fits the 768. So if you want something like particular, just like for that screen resolution, I would have to move this code that I'm putting in here down here. Look. Okay? So because this is the last value that CSS is reading, it means that it's the most important. It says, okay, for a maximum width of 768 pixels, I'm going to have a background color of blue. And once it passes that, okay, let's go to the top and see what else do we have. Oh, okay, now in here we have, for a maximum width of 1024 pixels, we will have a background color of red. So basically, between 1069, which is the value above this, and 1024, we should have a background color of red. And between like 0 pixels and 1068, we should have a background color blue. And if we pass these 1024 pixels, if our screen gets bigger than that, we will get the background color that we set up in the beginning, which is light green. Okay? Let's refresh the page. Okay? let's go. Let's start. Like we are starting from the beginning, like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Look, is increasing the size. I said in here in my code, look, until a max width of 768 pixels, I want my body to be blue. All right, so look in here. We didn't reach yet 768. 768. Let me just put in here. I can put by myself. Look, 768 is blue. If I go above that, what do I have in here? Okay, for a max width of 1024 pixels, so it's the code that is above this, the background color is going to be red. Look, is red, red, red until 1024. You see, until 1024 is red. After is green because that's what we had initially. And that's it, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here now quickly, just for you guys to understand, I'm going to put, okay, for desktop, I want to have like these 3 devices, right? And for iPad, I only want to have my iPad. No. For iPad resolution, I just want to have two. I just want to have two elements sitting next to each other, and the next one is going down. Okay. So for that, I know that the iPads, they go to a resolution of maximum of 768. So I'm going to this code in here, all right? And I'm going to target my div with a class tech. And I'm going to say I want the width of this div to be, like I showed you before, I want it to be like 50%, let's say. Now, if I refresh the page, let me resize this until 768. And as you see, now it has only 2 devices sitting next to each other, like 2 columns, yeah? But this is looking a little bit too big. Let's give it 40%. Okay, 40%. Look, now this div is taking 40%, this div is taking 40%, and because this one, it would be like 40, 40, 40 would be 120%, it goes to the next line. This is what I want to achieve in here, right? So this is for iPad view. But because I said only until maximum of 768 pixels, it's also incorporates the mobile screen size, because you know I'm saying from a maximum of 768, it means that we are starting from 0 and we can go down until 768. And now what I'm going to do is I want for mobile to have one device on the top, one device on the bottom, and so on. So I just want one device on each row, okay? So for that, now I'm going to put this code down again. Let me just copy this. And I'm just going to copy this. And if you guys notice in here, let's put, for example, the iPhone X. Look, the resolution for iPhone X is 375, okay? iPhone 8 Plus is 414. iPhone 8, 375. Right, so we can see that these screen sizes, they are not bigger than 450 pixels. So I can put this limit in there. I'm going to say that for a maximum width of 450 pixels, I want my body to be yellow. So I know that whenever I'm on a screen size for the mobile, I will have a background color of yellow. Okay? And I want my div with a class tech. Oops, let me just get rid of this and put it in here. I want it to have a width of 80% of the page. So if he's taking 80% of the page, it means that he doesn't let any other element sit next to it, because there will be no space for two 80%, you know. Let's refresh. And there you go. Now this div, until a maximum width of 450 pixels, that's what I said, my div with the class tech will have 80% of the width of the page. So because it's 80%, there is no space for 3 or 4 elements. So look, I also give it a background color of yellow. All right. So let's start in here. I'm going to put this responsive, and I'm going to put this from the beginning. Look, like I said, guys, whenever you are setting up your CSS, remember that the last value that you have on the bottom of your CSS file is the one that takes the is the one that takes value, you know, is the one that is going to act, because CSS is a cascade style sheet. So the last value is the one that gets updated. So for that, I'm going to say, okay, once I'm starting from 0 until a max width of the screen size of 450 pixels, I want my body to have a background color of yellow, and I want my div with a class tech to have 80% of the width of the page, right? So I refresh the page, and let's start from 0. Look, 0, 0, 0, 0. We are increasing. Look, this is the size of 300 and something pixels. This is the size for mobiles, right? So I'm increasing. Look, until 440 pixels, 50 pixels, sorry. Bam! You pass the 450 pixels, it goes to the next code, because this code in here will only work until a maximum width of 450 pixels. If this code is not working anymore because we are in a bigger screen size, okay, what's the next code in here? On the next on the top of it. Okay, we have in here at media max width 768 pixels. So it means, okay, this code in here will work until a maximum from 0 until a maximum width of 768 pixels. So until 678 pixels, look, 768, I put it in here to have a background color of blue, and my div with the class tech to have a width of 40%. So that's why 40% this one, 40% this one is 80%. And if I was going to put another one, is 120. It doesn't fit. That's why we can only put 2 divs. The next one is going down. 768, you pass that size, bam, it's going to take another thing, okay? What's after this one? Okay, after this one, I just put in here that until a maximum width of 1024 pixels, I want my body to have a background color of red. Okay, so we are 786, 86, our background color is still red. Look, we are going up until 1024. If you pass the 1024, bam, you pass the 1024, it means that this code in here will only work until a maximum width of 1024, this media query, and this background color is not working anymore, because it should only work in this screen size. So in the beginning we had set that our body had a background color of light green. That's why if we are more than 1024, look, now our background color is always light green. And that's it, guys. You know, I hope you could understand a little bit about now how responsive websites they work, how you can make it work like for different screen sizes, how media queries work. There is also some things you can do a little bit more things with media queries. You know, I'm going to do a little bit more tutorials on it. You can also set up some, instead of maximum widths, you can set up minimum widths. But yeah, there's a lot of more things that we can cover, but I don't want to make this video too long. I just hope you could understand a little bit of the concept of how responsive design works and how media queries works. And yeah, if you guys are also interested in becoming one of my students where I explain all of these things, you know, and I give you some projects where you can test your skills and really practice by yourself, just send me an email. You know, I'm doing this mentorship, guys. If you are interested, just let me know. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it useful. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Share it with your friends that they are also learn a little bit about media queries and responsive design. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.